What is up, guys? We are back in another video, and today I want to talk about the quote-unquote ranked inflation problem in Marvel Rivals and why I believe it's not as much of a problem as a lot of players make it out to be. So the first point I want to touch on is who exactly is it in the community that is complaining most about the ranked inflation. It is people who are in GM and above, and it is the people in these lobbies that go into matches and they think, okay, this team is making mistakes that are equal to silver or gold level. And when you see that in a lobby, it does make you feel like there are players that shouldn't belong in that rank. And it's especially prevalent in Grandmaster because of the win rate you needed and how some people can just kind of storm their way through by playing a lot of games. And this is a frustrating problem for a lot of players. But the solution isn't what I think most people are calling for. Most people are calling for a system that has either placement matches or to significantly reduce the amount of elo you gain in the lower ranks. Like, let's say going from 40 per win in gold to down to 20 or something like that. So as a top 500 player and one above all, one thing I want to say is that often it'll feel like there's one player that shouldn't belong in that rank, even in top 500. And the reason why it feels that way is because Marvel Rivals is a 6v6 game, and because of its nature and how strong heroes are, and how valuable certain roles can be, like support, for example. One person having a bad game can cascade the whole game and just ruin it all, and it makes it end up looking like a slaughter. You could lose by a very wide margin if one little thing doesn't go right. A support doesn't ult at the right time for a couple fights in a row, and then you'll lose all those fights, and it seems like something is really going wrong. Or maybe there's a DPS, and that DPS has won 7 games in a row. They're a stellar player, but then one game happens, and they just don't play that well, and it's one game. And then you see that horrendous performance, and you think to yourself, how is this person in that rank? But if you were to click on the history tab and look at your own games, I guarantee you'll find a game where you did not do that well, and they probably thought the same thing about you. And so most of the complaining that is, I would say, above GM. GM, there's a lot more players that probably shouldn't be there. But honestly, what I believe is that anything above GM really is not an issue, and I do not believe that there is a rank inflation problem. The reason why is because people, they come from games like, you know, Overwatch maybe, or games where you have placement matches. I come from a game called World of Warcraft, which has a similar style to Marvel Rivals. You start at 0, and when the season starts, you start at 0, and you work your way up. And so by the end of the season, the rank 1 player is at a very high rating, whereas at the start of the season, a rank 1 player might be in Platinum or Diamond, right? And so I don't really think this is much of a problem in the higher ranks, because once you are past GM, you need more than a 50% win rate to succeed. You do. And so if you were in Celestial or you were in upper GM, you need to have a high win rate to actually get up to Eternity. You do. You need to win a lot of games, especially one above all. You need a very high win rate if you want to go all the way up that far. And so the biggest problem that I think with rank inflation is GM entirely. And it has to do with a little fine-tuning, okay? Not much, because people don't like how you could easily get up to, say, gold or platinum. And the thing is, a lot of people, their solution they wanted was the rank reset. And I do not believe that this solution is good at all. And you could see the community backlash at Season 1.5, how there was a huge amount of people that did not want a rank reset. And then after it happened, who's the people that are calling saying we should have had it? Ranked players at high rating that feel like players shouldn't be there. Those are the people that were calling for the ranked reset. Majority of the player base did not want this. And you have to understand, if you are someone that believes that there's too much rank inflation and that this is a problem and it's messing up your matches, you need to understand that you are not the largest audience in this game. And NetEase came out with official numbers where you could see on the graph the percent of people that are in different ranks. 17% were in Diamond, 16% in Platinum, 21% in Gold, 18% in Silver, and 13% in Bronze. And I'm pretty sure that's not counting the Bronze 3 players that don't even play comp. Majority of players in this game, like over 80 to 85%, are not in GM or above, and they're not hyper-competitive players. These are players that just want to progress to gold, get their skin, maybe play for fun because they enjoy the more organized environment of ranked that you don't really get in quick play. And for these people, at the end of the day, NetEase is offering a free skin for gold. And people might say, okay, just remove the free skin from gold and then make it to where you progress normally. Well, it's a free skin, right? They're trying to give some kind of, like, at the end of the day, they're asking you to do a little bit of work for a free skin. Just play through our ranked game, get to gold, and you get a free skin. It seems like a nice trade-off to me. So my solution that I think is the best way to solve this ranked inflation problem is a small fine-tuning. This is the most I think they should do, is a slight fine-tuning of the knob of how much rating you get once you get past gold. Up until gold, I think it's fine, the amount of rating you get when you do rank up. I think that's fine. Keep that progression as it is. Give people that can barely play the game or who don't really give a shit about ranked, give them an easy way to just coast up to gold, you know, assuming they're good enough to get that 40% win rate, maybe 35%, whatever win rate you need to get to gold is pretty easy. You get a lot of elo when you win. You have the Chrono Shield too. It's pretty forgiving. And then starting in Platinum, they should really taper off how much you get per win. I mean, seriously, taper it off. They should reduce it all the way down to maybe like, you know, because I know in Platinum you maybe get like 40 per win, right? They should start to bring it down to where I think in Diamond is when you should get 50-50. In Diamond, you should lose the Chrono Shield. I think you do. But in Diamond, you should have no Chrono Shield, and you should get when you win, you should get what you get, and when you lose, you should lose the same amount. Let's say you win 20 and you lose 20. That's what it should be in Diamond. And I think that would be the best measure they could take, because there's nothing really they could do more than that. Having the rank reset in the middle of the season would fuck over way more people than it would help. You know, and it's already debatable if it would even help people. Because the people that you might think in your lobby, again, I touched on it before, the people in your lobby that you think don't deserve to be in that rank, you could check their history and look, damn, they've had a lot of good games, and they've had a lot of bad games. It's just how it goes. Sometimes it looks like you have a bad game because there's someone on your team that's not enabling you the way they need to be because you're a player that needs this, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you're a diver and your team doesn't push. You never know. It's such a complicated game because there's so much overpowered shit. It's hard to really tell and pinpoint what the problem is sometimes in a game. Like again, I have top 500 matches that are landslides, and then you queue into the next game. It's like mostly the same people, just a slight shuffling of the teams, and now it's a landslide the other way. It's very dynamic like that, and it's hard to pinpoint, okay, this player doesn't deserve to be here from one bad game. You can't really say that. And you might inspect them and check their win rate and say, oh, how is this person in Celestial when he has a 50 or 49% win rate? Okay, maybe they were in Eternity and there was a rank reset. Oh, sorry, let's do a different rank. Let's say they were in Diamond and there was a rank reset, and now they went to a lower rank and they came back in the new season and they maintained a 50% win rate, or they lost a bunch of games, and you inspect them and you're like, damn, they're bad. Well, the reason why their win rate is bad is because the new season started, and that's when their win rate's calculated. Same thing, by the way, if you were in like Celestial or Eternity near the end of the season, people could inspect you and say, oh, your win rate for the season is 52%. How are you in Eternity? Well, it's because you probably had a very high win rate up to Eternity, maybe like 70%. And so it didn't take you many games to get there. And then once you were in Eternity, you probably played a fuck ton of games, which is the case for most people. Once you hit your skill cap, the rating you don't really get out of, you probably play a lot of games in that rating. And that's what kind of neutralizes your win rate. Because if you play 500 games in Celestial and you played 50 games to get there, 50% win rate in Celestial over 500 games plus a 70% win rate over 50 games, your overall win rate is going to look like 50 to 51%, maybe 52. And so overall, the ranked inflation problem, guys, it's really not as bad as people make it out to be. It is not. That player that's 2-6 when the whole team is positive, inspect their history. Inspect their history. Maybe they just hit Eternity for the first time and they're not quite ready, and so they had that terrible game, and they'll go on a lose streak back down to Celestial. It's how it goes, guys. The only real problem that they need to fix is GM and the win rate you need to get there. That is the only tuning knob they need to do, is just fix that. That is it. Now, they did introduce in Season 2, 2 new features. The first feature is that they brought bans down to gold. Now, this is very important because it is so important for combating Smurfs who go into these lobbies on Hela, Hawkeye that have cracked up aim, and they just completely dominate lobbies because they're overpowered. And so not only does it stop smurfs, but it gives more flexibility for people that maybe are struggling. Like, let's say you constantly play dive and you can never ban. Let's say you're a Spider-Man player, and because you're gold, you're not. Let's say you're not very good, and you don't really know how to deal with a Namor, and you're never able to ban the Namor, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're playing Spider-Man, usually your team will let you ban a Namor. It's a pretty big ban for a Spider-Man. You got to ban Namor, right? If your team doesn't let you ban Namor, I mean, they're asking for it. They see you click on Spider-Man. They're asking for it. They see you playing a dive character, and they're not letting you ban Namor. That's kind of on the team there, right? You get your bans. It combats smurfing. It's a great addition, bringing it down to gold. This is what I think they need to do before they did the season. And the next most important thing is they introduced a metric that changes how much rating you get based off your performance. Now, it's too early to say what really this is going to do for ranked, or how much it's going to be. Maybe if you have a good game, you'll get 27, and a bad game will be where you win, but you played bad, maybe 22. I don't really know what these numbers are going to be, but it is a W change. A very good change that I think will help a lot of people, because it does feel bad when you have an exceptional game and you lose like 21 rating. I'm talking about above GM. Once you start gaining and losing the same amount, it's pretty frustrating when you have an exceptional game, but one person ruins it all by going 2-6. And so I think having this feature of you lose less when your performance is actually pretty good, I think it's a good change. However, it does worry me. It does worry me on characters that have unseen value, like Captain America, or characters that have easy value and you can't really go wrong. If you're playing a support, I'm not sure how they're going to define individual performance, because if you're playing a support and you keep stacking ults and you lose the game for your team because you're not ulting properly, I don't know how they're really going to quantify that. And so they might give you they might see your healing stat and say you did quite well, you're going to lose a regular amount or maybe less than the team because you may have had the most healing, but you messed up your support ults every fight. And so I'm not sure how they're going to quantify that. And so that does worry me a little bit, because there's some heroes that will unjustifiably lose more, like Captain America, maybe Spider-Man, because Spider-Man doesn't have a high damage metric. Or maybe a Venom who's stalling and diving a lot and not really dying, but they don't have a lot of kills or whatever reason. Or supports, as I said, or maybe like an Iron Fist, because I play Iron Fist, the distraction value sometimes. These things that they can't really quantify, it does worry me, but overall, I still think it's probably a good idea to introduce this anyways. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, turn the bell for notifications so you can see when my next video is. And as always, take care, guys.